Hello, it's me again, and this is the third and final video about my sound design and implementation of the LYRA game. Here I made music UI sounds and implemented transitions between different music parts in the game. So I decided to make 4 music parts this time. First, music for the main menu, which starts when we run the game. Second, music for the warm-up phase. Then music for actual gameplay, but when it's not intense. And the last one is the music for intense gameplay with a lot of enemies and shots. I also made transitions between these parts and a coda, like 2 endings, which play depending on whether we win or lost. So let me show you my process. Here is my Reaper project. I decided to use the same instruments for each part, changing only the harmony and tempo. So these are my multi-tracks, and the regions here show which music part is which. I like to work this way because this approach helps you to stay within some kind of genre scope, to keep sound consistency between different parts and have all your music fragments and transitions in one project. It also makes mastering much easier since all your tracks go to the same master bus. For drums and percussion, I use Damage with some processing on it. This is how it sounds in the menu music track. I also have some looped hi-hats and cymbals here. For sound effects and transitions, I use Rise and Hit to generate some cinematic risers and impacts. I also have 2 bass layers here. First is a sub-bass made with the Razor synth, and the second is dramatic low piano notes from the Giant. For leads, I used Analog Dreams, and I also have some saturation, EQ, etc. on it. These are some sci-fi plugs with a lot of delay on them. Here I use FM8 and Massive. I also made some pads and atmospheric SFX. Here I use different Massive and Glaze presets with different distortions on them. So that's it. As I said, I use the same instruments for each part. The only difference is this bass for the combat part that I made with Absinthe. Glad it's finally back after all these years. And here is my mastering chain. NIF compressor, inflator, clipper, ozone. I'm not going to show you the whole tracks because it would take too long, but let's listen briefly and check the transitions. I printed all of them, and this is the warm-up phase. Transition. Non-intense part. Transition to an intense part. Transition back to non-intense part. Fail ending. And for UI, I just generated them using random settings in Native Instruments Erosia. That's it. On the Wise side, I created a new bank, pass and work unit, and the idea for the music is to trigger the music event with all the different parts once, and then just change the state which controls which part should play. With that logic, I created a switch container and pulled all my music parts in it. Then I created a new state group with states for menu, combat start, combat A, combat B, and the different endings. And then I set transition for them using my short music parts as transition segments. Now let's briefly check how it works in Wise. I'll switch through the different states. Menu, Now we start playing and go to the warm-up phase. Now we have a countdown and start fighting. Now the fight becomes more intense. And now we win. Then I also added UI sounds. On the Unreal side, I call the music event only once when the game starts, and then just change the state parameter. After that, I hooked up the UI events, added reverb, aux on the map, and spent some time mixing and balancing all the sounds, trying to find the sweet spot between music, player sounds, and intense shots and explosions. And here is my final result. First, I'm gonna start playing without NPCs, just to check the common balance between music, player sounds, and weapon sounds, and then I will play the whole game.